Morning you guys, it's Karen, and I thought I would come and give you an update, a 4-week update on what's going on with the flooding plan that I'm doing on my eyes for my hooding, and let you know what's going on. I know it's only been 4 weeks, but 4 weeks of this intense new plan I thought was worth letting you know what was going on, because I've been a bit surprised actually, and I know that quite a lot of you are eagerly watching to see how it goes. So I was expecting to go through 2 weeks of having peeling red sore eyelids, because that's what the research said, that you go through a period of 2 weeks of suffering basically, but that your body quickly acclimatizes to that, and after 2 weeks of going through that horrible period, that's it done, and you are then acclimatized to that high dose. And hopefully some of you got an opportunity to read. I did put the links in showing the differences of high dose and low dose, and starting really low, starting really high, and just sticking with it. And so I have been using the 0.1% just above my eyebrow, just below my eyebrow, and actually I've probably gone about to the middle of my eye there on both sides, and I haven't really been going underneath my eyes. And on that note, I should point out that a dermatologist will not recommend you do this. So I cannot recommend you do this. If you do this, it is at your own risk. It is not recommended that you put tretinoin on your eye area. I know that there are plenty of you that, like me, are happy to take the risk, but that is a personal choice that you take that risk. And in fact, a dermatologist did leave that as a comment, I think, on my drastic new plan video, and I appreciated that, because it is good when a qualified person does leave advice like that. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing, and I'm really surprised how well my eyes have tolerated it. Firstly, I've had no problems with my eyesight, no problems with blurriness, no problems with watery eyes, no problems with stinging. What I really thought I might have problems with is watery eyes, because for those of you that don't know, I have a huge problem with watering eyes anyway. Sometimes if I use oils the night before, if I use oils at night, sometimes I wake up in the morning and my eyes are watery. Sometimes it's just because of allergies. Sometimes it's because I use a purple eyeshadow. If I use anything with purple or red or burgundy or any of that kind of pigment in an eyeshadow, my eyes water. And I mean they water, and it's usually just one side, which is worse, because I can end up looking like I've got eyeshadow on one eye and nothing on the other, and it will take off the whole of my eyeshadow. It acts like an eye makeup remover, and so I have really bad problems with watery eyes, and so I thought it might actually cause me to have very watery eyes, and it hasn't. I thought the skin would become very red, and it hasn't. I thought that it would be much more flaky. I really thought that my eyes would look pretty terrible, but I don't feel like they look now any different in terms of redness or peeling or anything. Well, maybe ever so slightly, but they don't look terrible at all, and they don't feel terrible. They don't feel sore, they don't feel irritated, they don't feel even dry. The only time I notice anything at all is when I'm putting on my crease colour. I notice a little bit of dryness. When I put a powder on my eyes, I notice that there is some dryness, because the powder does stick to dry areas. But then once my eye look is done, I don't think it's noticeable at all. It's so unnoticeable that there's been a couple of videos where I've sort of been close up and I thought you can't actually see the dryness, and I've gone to say, oh, can you see the dryness from my tretinoin, and notice that you can't see it. I can't film it. I can't take photos of it. The closest I think is in a video on, I think it was the Revolution Pro haul. I was doing my eyebrows, and I think in that video, when I was watching it back, you could see some flaking on my eyes at that point. And I noticed it, and that was at the 3-week point. I'll try and find the footage from it and show you again. And because I noted down that was 3 weeks since I'd started. So at the 3-week point, there was a little bit of flaking. There's never been enough flaking on my eyes that I've needed, I was going to say needed to do anything about it. But I would never do anything. I would never obviously use a scrub or any kind of manual exfoliation. The most I would do, I would never put a chemical exfoliant on it. I wouldn't even put, you know, like a lactic acid. I wouldn't do anything like that. The most I would have done is get a soft flannel and maybe rub over my eyelids and see if I could softly remove any of the skin, but I didn't even need to do that. It just seemed to disappear on its own. And that's been consistent from the day I started using it to now. It isn't like in the first week my eyes were sore and irritated to now they're not sore and irritated. The only time I noticed a slight irritation was when I used a product with alcohol in it. Do you remember I showed you, was it wipes? I bought some wipes and didn't notice that they had alcohol in them, and I had wiped over my eyes with them, and I noticed that they stung a bit, and that's probably is because obviously the tretinoin is going to make my skin a little bit sensitive. That's the only time I noticed any irritation. So I suspect because I use products that are gentle, don't have alcohol and fragrances in them, then I'm not going to notice any irritation. But I'm just so surprised that they're not bright red and irritated because I'm using this 0.1%. I would say I've missed, I'm using it every day, but I would say I have missed, in the last 4 weeks, I've probably missed 3 nights. And that's either been because I've done a fake tan at night and I've not wanted to put it on top, or because we've been out and about, or because I've been too tired or something like that. It's been either 2 or 3 nights that I've missed, and that's it. I'm still using the one from my vanity bag on my left eye and the one from the fridge on my right eye. I can see no difference between the two so far. So absolutely no difference there. And I have compared pictures. I took pictures this morning and I have compared them with a month ago, and I can see no difference at all. There is no improvement, but neither do they look any worse. I feel like they look exactly the same. So I'll put those pictures in for you to see, and hopefully you'll see that the hooding is exactly the same. The wrinkles are in exactly the same place. The hooding is in exactly the same place. There's the same amount of mobile lid visible. Absolutely no difference whatsoever. I wasn't expecting to see any difference at this point at all, but I think in one of the studies I had read there was a difference. I think they'd seen a difference within 2 to 3 weeks, and so I thought it was worth checking just to see. I'll have another look at 2 months and see if there's anything going on and report back, because, you know, I think it's worth checking every month with doing such a high dose, because 1% is a high dose. I've not been using anything specific on my eyes after using the tretinoin either. I've just been using my usual, you know, following my usual skincare routine, which isn't really that usual, as you'll know. I'm always asked for an updated skincare routine, but there isn't really anything updated. I did that last skincare routine which showed you all the different products, and that I just mix and match according to how my skincare is feeling. And so lately it's just been, I've introduced that amino acids. That's really the only thing that I've added in, and I have been putting some of that onto my eyelids. And I'll put, you know, maybe a nice oil on. I'm just making sure that I keep everything well moisturized and I take it onto my eyes. If I'm putting oil on, I do make sure I only put it sort of up there, because otherwise it can make my eyes a bit misty. And that's pretty much it. That's all that's going on. Another person asked about, you know, how I'm using the minoxidil on my brows, and they were saying, how can you use that with tretinoin? But actually tretinoin and minoxidil are known to work well together, and so you can either use tretinoin and rub it well in and then put the minoxidil on, or I just try to put the tretinoin on above and below my eyebrow, and then I just put the minoxidil on my brows, because I know that the tretinoin will travel to my brows anyway, and like I said, the two do work very well together. So that's everything to update you on just now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you again soon.